finished on the podium in every race he participated in, making it 100%. Let's hope we see a good effort from McLaren here today. In recent times, they've fallen to somewhat of a midfield team.
Well, good evening everybody. Welcome back to the IRT event 4v4v4v4, and my name is IRT Indigo, also known as Jamie, and today alongside me again is IRT Bompier.
Hello, hello. Thanks for having me again.
Yeah, this time we are here for Imola. Last time out with the Bahrain Grand Prix at the Middle East, and this time we have transferred over to the European season here in the north region of Italy, in Imola, and as you can see, it is raining, Bompier, so that's going to be very interesting to see how these drivers will manage qualifying then and negotiate their way around this track. And I can see somebody on the soft compound tyres, but obviously it's not stopped. It's not stopped raining yet, so there's a long wait to see if it is going to stop raining or not. But yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see how all these drivers take it. We're aboard with Kieran now on his outlap, just drifting out wide at the exit of the Villeneuve chicane now, coming into, I think that is Tosa, drifting through the corner at the exit of that corner, turn 7 that is, and now coming up the top of the hill as we see a Mercedes there, stationary for the time being. Must have came out of the pits and got the throttle immediately and spun the car, but hopefully he gets going again.
Yeah, it's of course tricky in intermediate conditions. I don't think a lot of these drivers would have done many laps in the rain on this game, if any at all. And especially on Imola, I don't think you'd really practice the weight. Of course, it's possible here. We've seen it in real life as well. But it's not really something that comes to mind, especially in this early part of the game cycle. So it's going to be very tricky for everyone out there, especially in qualifying. I don't know, of course, if it dries up, if it will stay raining also for the race. But yeah, only time will tell. As Kieran is now burning some fuel, warming up his tires towards Rivazza and going for his first lap.
Yeah, Imola Grand Prix then first introduced, I think, back at 1953, and obviously we haven't raced here, I think, at the exit of 2006. And we're back here for the Imola race 2020 due to COVID, and ever since then it's stayed on as a racetrack now for the official calendar. As we head down into turn number 1 then, let's see how he takes this into 4th gear. He goes a bit hesitant through there, just carrying the speed through the corners, trying to see when he can get on the throttle, and nicely done through the first 3 corners there, or shall I say turn 3, turn 4. Turn 2, 3 and 4. Now coming into the Villeneuve chicane, a bit wide on entry towards turn number 5, but wasn't too bad overall. At 26.3 in that first sector then as he exits through there. 3rd gear, a bit of wheel spin on the exit like he did on his outlap, just drifted through the corner at Tosa. Now we're coming into turn number 8. Flat out corner through there. Turn number 9 in this left-hander we go, down into 4th, up into 5th immediately to try and reduce wheel spin on the exit then as we make our way into Acqua Minerale, one of my favourite corners, but he's just went a bit too deep on Pia and unfortunately has a valid hit.
Yeah, indeed, it lap looked a bit scruffy, if I'm being totally honest. Of course, Piratella not fully committed, same for the Tamarello chicane. So that's just the way the track is at the moment behind him. Jasper has invalidated his, but that's his outlap only, so that doesn't matter really. Kevin in the Haas, I think, is the next one to the first one now, because Kieran invalidated to set a lap time as he goes through the chicane in the last sector, not really hitting those apexes as you wanted. But of course, first lap in the rain, you can make some mistakes. It's just all a learning curve in this qualifying session. Hitting the apex pretty nicely in Rivazza in the first one, and also for the second one just wide a little bit almost onto the gravel, but keeps it valid onto the line, and it is a 23.7. I'm not sure if that's a good lap or if it's a mediocre lap, but we'll see now as Tico goes at 23.4, so just ahead of Kevin, Leroy and Hookie slot in behind that with a 24 and 28.2 respectively. Sheik Leo with a statement and a 22.8, 6 tenths ahead of his teammate and 6 tenths ahead of the whole pack.
I can see Ferrari out there, but he's on the soft pod Expedience now as the graphics just changed. I just wanted to go on board with it because I wasn't quite sure if he was on the soft pod tyres, but it's no brainers between the Intermediates at this stage. It's clearly where, as you can see, that it's a Mercedes 1-2 at the top of the timing sheets with as you said, Sheik Leo ahead of Tico in P2, separated by about 6 tenths. I think Tico's going for another push lap here. As you can see, fully pushing, went wide at the exit of we've gone deep again at the Yeah, but I think Kenny's gone quickest. Yeah, in the Alfa Romeo. So the Alfa Romeo, the IRT driver, has gone under a tenth quicker than Sheik in P2 ahead of Tico. So that's a good lap time there from Kenny to get the top of the time sheet. As Jasper in the Alpine moves himself up into P2 there with a 22.8. Then so close between Jasper and Leo. As all these drivers then going round and round, just finding the grip there to see how much they can push on these set of tyres and see what grip is out there on the intermediate conditions. As VBRE unfortunately has invalidated his lap time then coming out of Acqua Minerale, that downhill section. It goes uphill and went a bit too wide in the entry at turn number 11 and therefore cost him at turn number 12 as he couldn't quite connect with the apex. As Kellen R. Mason goes up into P7 there in the Williams ahead of QRT Leroy. Then as you will see in this qualifying session, all these drivers will fuel their car up for more than one lap, and you won't see it in the dry club power tyres of course, because tyres overheat too quickly. As a ball with an AlphaTauri there, as you can see the Alpine slid off the road and Kieran almost did as well, but saved it, and he's on a lap I think with a 59.5 as Posh Evans in the McLaren on his second lap goes quickest and quickest. And what I was talking about the intermediates is the tyres don't overheat as much, and therefore you can go for multiple laps on the same set of inters as the tyres will grip in more on the circuit. So you'll see plenty of drivers doing that as the fuel for more than one lap. Same on the wet tyres as well. If you're new to F1, I don't think Kieran's on the push lap anymore. I think he's backed out of it, but he crossed the line anyway. But yeah, Posh Evans at the top of the timing sheets with a 22.5, 2/10 clear of Kenny.
Yeah, great lap from McLaren Jasper as well, soldering into P3 there with a 28.8, a 22.8 I should say, as I'm watching Kieran right now, who has just finished the Tamburello chicane. A little bit of a wobble on the exit there, but it should look all fine. Colin R. Mason was improving a whole second as well in the first sector alone, so we have to keep an eye out for the Williams driver, but he just entered pit lane, so he won't improve on that lap time. See Leo as well, he was going for another lap, but he hit a bit of traffic going into the last sector. I think it was from his teammate even, which cost him dearly, and he also invalidated his lap time in the chicane. As Kieran is now into Acqua Minerale, a big slide there. I don't think that would do him any good. X-Fibre into P3, only 10,000s behind Tico, who also just gone into P2, and it's a Red Bull spun just in front of Kieran, and that will definitely have hindered him. Loses traction, nothing really the Red Bull could have done there, but it's just visual distraction that really cost Kieran there, and he has to go for another lap time.
Yeah, I was aboard early on with Casper, and I think he clouded the curbs coming into Variante Alta, so he cost himself a bit of lap time there, but nevertheless gets himself inside the top 10. Then I switched over to Kieran, and I did see a car in the way. He also slided through the Variante Alta, that chicane as well, so that part of the track proven to be difficult. As you can see the left hand side of your screen there, every single driver doing more than one lap on the same set of intermediates, apart from Sheik Leo, who's back in the pit lane, and Kevin HR as well, as they're not going out for more laps, probably fueled the car for one lap or so, but hopefully they understand that doing more laps on the same set of inters will help you with more grip as well. The second lap is potentially better than your first lap on the same set of inters. They're on board with Quistro there in the Ferrari. We've gone a bit deep going into Peratella, and now he's coming through Acqua Minerale. Yeah, he's definitely struggling for grip there, unfortunately for him, so hopefully he can get us to grips with the track ASAP, because he's got 9 minutes left in the session, and 2 of them, which is Andretti in the Alpine. But Casper puts his McLaren at the top of the timing sheets then with a 21.3 as his teammate appears out the pit lane. Casper finds a second, and I did mention going into Variante Alta that he was the one that suffered through there, sliding through the corners, and he clattered it as well, and finds a whole lot of time there, and it's a McLaren 1-2 as well, for good measure. So looks like McLaren are on form. I'm on board with Kenny now, and he's 3/10 up in the middle sector there, but I wonder what lap time he could set or won't set as he heads back in the pit lane then, because he's running out of fuel, and I think he did make a mistake there on his final lap. Majority of the drivers are in the pit lane then, and I wonder, let's see if anybody out there can improve. Has it stopped raining? I wonder.
It looked like it has indeed, so that would mean then that dry tires are maybe the best at the end of the session. It would also explain, of course, the big gap between Casper and the rest of the field, because if it stops raining, the track will automatically become a lot faster, as Casper just fully cuts the Variante Alta, not wasting any time. going back into the pit. And I think what happened to Kenny is, while I was on board with Christo as well, while he was going through the variant out, I looked back and I saw Kenny facing the wall. So of course that's not ideal, and I assume that's why he aborted the lap and went into the pit lane. He wouldn't gain any time. As Tico, interestingly, he has gone out on soft tires, so he has already gone for the gamble, and that definitely shows me that it has stopped raining and the track will get drier. Maybe not right now, don't think it's time for dries yet, but Tico has taken the gamble and we will see a dry end of this qualifying.
So Posh Evans then, one of the two drivers out there on a flying lap, along with Tico now, who's the third driver, and Sheik, and both of them on the soft compound tyres. Colin Mason's still out there in P14, as Posh Evans has unfortunately validated that first sector. He was 1 set up as well, so unfortunately getting the chicane just a bit wrong there, and I think it's a good time to pit now for Josh. Otherwise he'll lose a lot of time being on the intermediates then, so it's a good call for him to come back into pit lane and not waste any time out there being on those useless intermediates now, as the dry tyres are being favoured in this qualifying session, and all the drivers then switch into the soft compound tyres. And let's see then who will set the best lap time. Probably Bobby, we'll see one of those, whoever crossed the line last will probably get the best lap time on the board then, so it could be a case of that. But we've got 6 minutes and 40 seconds left to go on the clock. This is going to be an interesting part of qualifying now. Nobody can make mistakes anymore, as the time machines will go crazy up and down like a fruit machine.
Yeah, definitely. Every lap time that has been set so far is basically meaningless if we take in the grand scheme of things. As Tico, he has now started his lap time, and the first one on the soft, so we will see if it is time for softs yet, or if it's still the inters are better. He does have a little bit of trouble through the Tamarado chicane, but he does manage to keep it on track, and it looked pretty fast as well. So we have to just wait on his first sector split to see if he is improving anything, and he is 6/10, and that is also purple. So softs are already faster, but they will get faster and faster, and at the end of the session Toza managed pretty well as well. Now to Piratella, high speed corner when you ideally want to keep in the fifth and then just get on the power right away, which Tico managed to do pretty nicely considering the track is wet. Has a big slide through Aqua Minerales. He got on the curb, and the curbs are just way too wet if you're on soft tires on the damp track. He still is improving by a whole second, cutting the curb for the first Variante Alta and getting a good exit off of the second one. So he will definitely go top of the timing sheets. The question is just by how much. He was improving a second through the middle sector, and I think he's definitely found a lot more time as the track looks to get a lot drier now. Only a little bit of wet patches on the straight mainly. So he will definitely go top. By how much? It is 1.5 seconds, and he found a whole second in that last sector. So there's definitely even more time than what we've seen so far.
Yeah, it's crucial for him to complete that lap time, otherwise he won't have a benchmark to set, and if he does make a mistake on his final run, he's always got that lap time just in case others do. And his teammate goes quickest with a 19.7, 1.17 seconds clear. Then his teammate Sheik there goes back up into P1, the Mercedes 1-2 then. So these times will tumble down now. As you can see, the water has cleared off the circuit. It won't happen in real life as the game will, because in the game obviously it just clears away immediately, but in real life it takes ages or quite a while to get off the track. And we can see that Kenny making his way through the middle sector, and Sabi there up into P1 with an 18.7, so that's a whole second quicker now than Sheik in P2 then, as Kenny makes his way through that chicane. Bit of wheel spin on the exit of that one, and he's currently in P7 then, so let's see if he can up his position. Will definitely up his time as the track is dry. But look at that, just the rears locking into that penultimate corner there cost him a bit of time. Now making his way to the final corner then, so let's see what lap time Kenny will set in at Alfa Romeo. It's an 18.8, and it's close. If he didn't make that mistake there, I dare say he'd be very close, if not beaten that lap time of IRS Sabi there in P1. Kevin HR is up into P3 in the Haas. I did notice, by the way, when I was on board with the Mercedes driver of Tico, I saw a Haas spinning at turn number 3, and it wasn't Kevin HR, it was his teammate. So hopefully he hasn't sustained any damage and can get back on the track and set a lap time. But loads of drivers there out on the circuit. There's 3 minutes and 20 seconds left to go as Jasper gets it terribly wrong, coming out the second, third and fourth corner there, unfortunate for him then. So Jasper will have to back off, probably head back into the pit lane because he's got no fuel left, so that put him on a massive back foot there. As Colin R. Mason in the Williams has gone quickest with an 18.2, then 5/10 separating the rest of the field, as majority of the field are in the pit lane. They're just waiting for the right moment to come out, and it's going to probably be traffic galore once everybody gets out in the pit lane to go for the final flying lap last, as it's probably best to do so. His teammate Huki there in P16 goes 9/10 quicker in the first set, so please ignore the noise in the background if you can hear it or not. Going into turn number 9 in 5th gear then, he's also running low on fuel, so this lap time has to count for him as he makes his way now through Acqua Minerale. Takes it very nicely through there, probably a bit too cautious, but try not to make mistakes through there. It's very easy to get it wrong through those corners. 2.1 seconds up then as we make our way into the chicane. Takes it rather cautiously, not really attacking the curbs as probably hoped to, but he's probably taking it cautiously, just trying to get a feel for the track. Is Huki, maybe his confidence is not there yet, but we're just waiting then for majority of the drivers to be back on the track and set their final flying lap times as Huki then makes his way around that final corner. And let's see what lap time the Williams driver can set there. This is probably his last lap in qualifying. He's low on fuel. He puts it into P2 with an 18.7, but I dare say the times will tumble down now. It's Colin R. Mason goes quickest with a 17.1 then, so this is very close now as the lap times continue to tumble. And Bompia, with all these drivers coming out at the very last moment, if one of these drivers invalidate or make a mistake, that's it for them. They've only got one chance, and this is their one chance only, so it's very crucial now for these drivers not to make a mistake.
Yeah, as Eminem once said, you only get one chance, and you can't miss that chance to blow. And it's basically a one-shot qualifying now. It's Casper as well. It's RDR 1-2-3 at the moment. But yeah, we've seen from Colin Mason, he did that lap while not having any ERS. What do you say?
Well, when Casper finished his lap, I noticed there were 3 people behind him just coming out of the pit lane, and there's 1 minute and 17 seconds to go. So those 3 people, the Haas, the Alfa Romeo and the Red Bull, they've got to get a move on, otherwise they won't get a lap time they will get a lap time, but not the lap time they want because they've been set on inters instead of dries. So those guys then have desperately have to get a push on here to get a lap time in.
Yeah, it's going to be really, really tight for them. I think that the ones in question are Kevin Kenny and a Red Bull, which would be Leroy. So they're only 40 seconds remaining, and they're just entering the final sector through Acqua Minerale today. I think they will make it, but it's going to be very, very tight. As Jasper retired from the decision in the pit lane, he can't improve on that. As we've seen, he went on the grass after the first chicane, so that's qualifying over him, and he just has to pray that people invalidate or basically invalidate or spin, make a massive mistake, because otherwise he will be probably dead last, just riding on board with Kenny, because he is now running the last corner. Casper goes first with a big gap, so maybe Colin Mason and Huki have set their lap time way too early, because they are qualifying over for both Williams, Andretti as well, and Jasper, so it's not really looking good for them. Casper slowing down for the first corner, so he is also not going to improve his time. Fibre is coming towards the line now. Is he going to go fastest? No, that's P2 for him. 5/10 away from Casper, still a good lap. And Mercedes now, that is Chic Leo, and he goes fastest, followed by the Alpine of Andretti. He invalidated his lap time, so it will be last on the grid for Andretti. Tico crossing the line and goes fastest by 5/10 of a second, and there goes Kieran even faster, 3/10 of a second, 14.4. Great lap from the Alfa Romeo. David into P4, that's a Ferrari coming up, that's Ralupion into P4 with a 15.3, so the top 2 a class apart from the rest at the moment.
Oh, Kevin, he's just invalidated his lap time, unfortunately for him, and it's going to be a 19.7, so that's his qualifying done and dusted then. And Leroy too, he's also validated, so he'll be frustrated. Here comes Julian coming across the line now. Haven't seen much of him in this qualifying session, but he puts the Alfa Romeo up into P3 on the second row, joined alongside Josh Evans there in P4 then. So these drivers then, such as Kenny, well, everybody. Kenny's up into P4. I thought he finished the qualifying session, but he's about to start his final flying lap, and Kenny there up into P4 sets the exact same lap time as his teammate in P3. Wow, both of them there 14.992. That's incredible there from those two setting the exact same lap time. And those guys who invalidated their last laps, that cost him hugely there. Especially Andretti, because we haven't seen much of him in the session. I bet he was waiting for the dry period. He didn't bother taking part in the wet conditions because he knew it was going to be dry anyway. But he took part and unfortunately invalidated his last lap time there. So it's very important to get a banker first to ensure your safety. And those guys who invalidated on their last run, unfortunately, cost them hugely now, as they could be further up the field than they expected to be. But Nathan there up to P9, we saw him down the back end of the field, and he's currently in the top 10 then, so that was crucial there at the end of the session to get it all right. Otherwise, even if you let's say if you made a small mistake, like oversteered just a little bit there, it's still important to continue with your lap time, because you don't know if guys behind will not improve or invalidate that time either. So yeah, that was very important in qualifying, just to be there at the right time in the right place. We did see three drivers who made it out of the pit lane with only a few minutes left to go. As you can see there, Cristro and QRT Leroy, their best lap time is on the intermediates, as Andretti hasn't set a lap time on either tyre, and he waited to the very end and put himself under massive pressure there, as he only had one run, and that one run unfortunately cost him, and he could start down in 19th place there. So that's qualifying done and dusted. It's Kieran who's on pole ahead of Tico in P2, with both Alfa Romeos in P3 and P4, but followed by Josh and Sheik.
Yeah, it's been a great qualifying with that, and I think Andretti, he gambled and he just fell short with not setting a lap time at the end. He probably just wanted to get on the dry, and basically that's it. I think he made a mistake as well on the inters. So yeah, that's not optimal for him as well. Both the Williamses, they showed promise in the early part of qualifying, but then they just set their dry lap too early. I think they misjudged it a little bit. They set their dry lap and then they went back into the pit without sufficient time to go out back again. But their fastest lap time was basically in damp conditions, and that shows for that qualifying position as well. So yeah, as you said plenty of times already in the session, just leave it as late as possible. But then the risk is high. But if you nail the lap like Kieran did, like Tico did, Julian and Kenny as well, you're going to be very much up there.
High risk, high reward, as they say, and proved to be as well. As the dry conditions came, everybody waited, and that's the problem now with traffic as well, building up as your tyres start to get colder. Because I do notice on this game as well, tyres are quite difficult to warm up in this game, and the trick to that is you want to be on the throttle and brake at the same time, and that's the way to warm up your tyres then. But obviously you can't do that for the whole of that lap, and if you're stuck in the last sector, your tyres get very cold then. So as you can see there, the top left of your screen, mixture of tyre strategies going on there, with the top two on the hard compound tyres. Julian, both Alfa Romeos have decided to split their strategies and go for the mediums and hards. Posh Evans in 5th place on the medium compound tyres, with Sheik in P6 and Raul Lupian in P7 on the hards, ahead of David in the Aston Martin on the medium compound tyres, followed by Nathan on the mediums, Casper in P10 on the hard compound tyres, ahead of XV Bray on the mediums, followed down to Sabi there down in P14 on the medium compound tyres, and the rest of them from P15 down to P19 on the medium compound tyres. It's been a disqualifying session, it must be said, from both Alpines, of Jasper, who made a massive error coming out of the second corner out of Tamburello. Can he make it up in the race as well? So that cost him hugely at the end of the qualifying there, making a big mistake. Like you said, it was like one shot qualifying, and unfortunately he blew his chance. And Andretti there, unfortunately gambling as well, didn't pay off either, and he'll start down to P19 on the hard compound tyres. Let's see what both Alpines have got in this race as well. One to watch out for, Andretti and Jasper, and let's see what QRT Leroy could do down there in P17 as well. He's got some decent pace in the Red Bull. Unfortunately couldn't get it right as he came out the pit lane very late, followed by the Alfa Romeo and the Haas as well. The Haas was probably Kevin HR in P15, and hopefully he can make up some positions as well. So qualifying was a pivotal role to play for this race, as it may determine the positions. And let's see then what happens in this race with 32 laps to go.
Yeah, it will be very interesting to see how the different tyres behave. Of course, the hards slow at the start, durable at the end, but they can really fall off a cliff once you get them around 30%. So around lap 7-8 is where I think we will see a lot of mistakes happening. as Kieran has now become stationary, but he has been disqualified. So that's not ideal because then your tires will be reset to 70 degrees and you will get a very tough start. And pole position in Imola, maybe it's not the greatest because you have that turn where you start in, but I think everyone is stationary now.
Here we go then for the 32 lap race here in Imola as the 5 lights are off then. So let's see who gets a better start. In fact, they're not off yet, they're off on our screen, but finally away they go then for the social race here in Imola. And looks like Kieran's got a better start than Tico despite being disqualified. Look at Julian, capitalised on those medium compound tyres, taking a long way around. He goes on the grass though. Will he go off the track in the first 2 corners? No, he doesn't, stays on, but he's been put offline. Here comes the Ferrari of Valer Rapulin trying to go side by side with Kenny, but can't quite do so on that occasion and remains in P6 then as Posh Evans has made up a place ahead of Kenny. Crucial for him as well, being on those medium compound tyres, capitalising off the start off the Grand Prix then. So they're all settled in. Looks like they got away cleanly. They've got a few midfield battles going on at Torsa here. Huki gets a much better exit coming out of Torsa there. He gets past Casper in fact Casper's overwhelmed now. Oh, he's been spun. Is this like a Pierre Gasly situation back in 2022? Was it Joe Guan Yu who got spun in the wall there? I'm not quite sure who it was. I think Joe Guan Yu and Pierre Gasly was involved, but that was another similar situation there. It's just too tight, unfortunately, just drove it to the side. Not enough room for both of them to go there, and Casper unfortunately spins. He was taking it cautiously to the first lap was Casper, but unfortunately did not pay off for him then as he got spun round coming into, and looks like Colin R. Mason's made a move on David. Is the penultimate corner we go? We don't really see many moves being made there, and he's done so on that occasion then. So good move then. As we can see, lap 2 out of 32. Julian is side by side now with Tico. I think Tico lets him go knowing he does on the medium compound tyres, so don't want to put too much of a fight up against the Alfa Romeo on the medium. Oh, he's hit the back of him! And he misjudged his braking zone massively there. Hopefully he hasn't got any front wing damage, has Tico. Has he escaped free? I think he has for the time being.
He has not. The right wing end plate is missing, I thought, but it's on there when I'm looking at it now. So he doesn't have the pace. Maybe he does have a little bit of wing damage, but we just can't see that. So yeah, really unfortunate for him. He had a good start, was a P3, but now tumbling down the order.
So both our beats have made a bit of progress. Andretti starting last. He's up as a P15 then, as you can see Tico there struggling just a bit. Here comes Colin on. Oh, that was a bit of a hairy moment through there. I think Tico was letting his teammate go because I do think Tico has a bit of damage the way he's driving. He's understeering slightly through the mid-speed corners, so he let his teammate go, and Colin R. Mason not acknowledging that, but thankfully he did at the very later part, otherwise there'd be a massive crash then. Colin R. Mason escapes free, makes up a place then, up into P8 he goes. Andretti overtaking his teammate Jasper. I think Jasper's fallen down the order, which he is. What's going on here? We see a Red Bull making contact with the Ferrari there. QRT Leroy, I'm not quite sure what's going on down in the midfield there, but getting a bit messy coming out of the final 2 corners then as the Ferrari heads off into the pit lane then as we start lap 3 with DRS being enabled, and we can see then Kevin overtaking Leroy as his teammate in the other Haas is side by side with Huki. Into turn number 2 we go. It's going to be so tight, going side by side, but X Vibre there gets put on the curb and nothing can do about that one, and now Andretti's going to be all over the back of him. Andretti from P19, is this going to be a P11? Almost. He goes side by side but contact, and the RP's off the track, and here comes his teammate Jasper who moves up into P12 then, so a bit of contact going on in the first few laps of this race, Bompier.
Yeah, it's been a little bit messy. I think what happened between Leroy and Quistro is that Leroy got an illegal overtake because I saw him go off track in the Variante Alta, so he probably had an illegal overtake on Jasper or Andretti, one of the 2 Alpines, and he tried to let them by, but he just couldn't see or didn't know that the Ferrari was also trying to go for an overtake. So when Leroy put on the brakes, the Ferrari just straightly went into the back of him. I think that was just mostly misfortune, and maybe just couldn't quite, and Leroy just didn't really see him, as Colin Mason goes for a second move into Rivazza, this time on Sheik Leo, and he is up to P7, just outside of the DRS though, and he has burned a lot of his battery, so I think the Mercedes will get a shot back in. No, as of course the DRS detection point is before Rivazza. Posh Evans and Julian swapping places, and I see a battle as well. Nathan and Ralupion switching places as Nathan goes for the move on the hard runner, and he makes the take up into P5, so there's an IRT 3-2-5 now, as Kieran has created a big gap in front. Posh Evans 3.2 seconds by him already, so he looks set to go home with the victory. Dave going a little bit wide, a little bit at the midfield as he is struggling to keep up with P8, and he is 2.5 seconds behind, so that probably won't be enough to get into the DRS anytime soon.
Yeah, so TK there pits on the first lap. He's down in P18. Unfortunately, he sustained a penalty as well. So that'll be an interesting battle. He was going long on the hard compound tyres, but it's just so easy to misjudge your braking. So unfortunately, oh, David's retired. Where's he retired at? Let's have a look at the exit of Alco Minerale. Unfortunately, he's dropped at the exit. We've seen plenty of people do that in the past, and that's such an easy place to drop it on the corner there. They just lose the back end of the car and hit the wall. So unfortunately, David becomes the first retirement in this race, brings the likes of Tico back into play, along with Quistro as well. They both pitted due to damage, and thanks for their safety car, can bring it back into play. So I don't expect no pit stops from these guys, because it's a few early opening laps of this race, and maybe down in the midfield, probably some drivers might take it off those tyres, but nobody's pitting, giving up that crucial track position and staying out there to keep their place. So yeah, the safety car then came out, probably helped the medium runners just a bit there to extend their stint on those medium compound tyres. Quite a few, we've got a split interesting tyre of choice there between the hards and mediums, and Kieran surrounded by two medium runners right behind. Kieran did pull out a gap, I think, of like 3.1 seconds, so unfortunately for him, his lead has been wiped out, and now he's got the medium runners of Josh and Julian. Despite that battling early on in the race, where those two lost time towards Kieran, can gain that back now thanks to the safety car coming out, and Kieran now has got to look at his mirrors to watch for both the medium runners behind of Julian and Evans then. So Kieran's got a lot on his back tonight, and let's see if he can handle that. And most positions gained and lost, let's have a look at that. Nathan, I did notice, making moves throughout the field. Colin R. Mason, we saw his moves come at the Plusburg corner, where you don't really expect to see, but using the advantage of the ERS and the medium compound tyres to his advantage, and get past them very quickly at this stage of the race. So Colin R. Mason made up 5, Andretti has made up 8, I kept an eye on him, and Jasper made up 4, along with Leroy and Nathan himself making up 4 places. So Andretti there gaining the most places at the start, and unfortunately the most lost is Tico, dropping 16 positions then after making contact there with the guys at front. I think it was Posh Evans he hit the back of into turn number 2.
Yeah, unfortunately for him, dropping 16 places, you know, with a very good starting position in P2, the front row, just couldn't really make it count. Position changes going off further down the field, but I think that's just Sabi being ghosted. I didn't find him back ready, but I don't think he has been able to get back, so he will be a ghost car, which will be unfortunate for Casper, as he actually goes into the pit lane. Interestingly enough, he won't lose any positions because Quistro is 47 seconds behind. So let's see what tyres he goes onto. That's a medium tyre. He'll probably try to make that stint work and then go for another medium set, which will be faster, of course, because he was in the hards, and mediums are faster than hards. So medium, it is going to be for Casper, probably wanting to make some moves early after the safety car has come in. But indeed, a lot of position changes. Andretti with a great start from dead last, but again, you can't really lose positions if you start last. But you still have to make
Alex,
up for it, and he definitely did that.
Alex Albon quote there back in 2019 on George Russell when they did a presentation and PowerPoint. You can't lose positions if you start last. It says Alex Albon on George Russell back then in 2019, when all three of them rookies, Albon, Norris and Russell themselves. But now all three of them are still in F1, with Albon in the Williams, Russell in a Mercedes, and Norris still in McLaren. But at the front then, Posh Evans in P2. Now he knows the gap has been closed down, and wonder if he can use that to his advantage now. Think about putting pressure on Kieran in P1 then, because his battle with Julian and Kenny there at the start of the race cost him a lot of time, especially Posh Evans getting hit back as well into turn number 2. It didn't cost him too much, but thankfully, would he get damage from that? Because I know the damage module is you can, or the safety car's in anyway, so we're about to switch up the tempo very shortly, but can you get damage from that? Someone hit the back of you very hard like that?
I don't think so in the rates that I've put it.
Fair enough then. So hopefully Josh doesn't sustain any rear wing damage or rear diffuser damage and could continue like normal then, as the safety car is about to peel off in the pit lane. As the AlphaTauri can determine when to go, if he wants to, of course. Maybe not now because he'd be a slipstream provider, but off he goes then. Has he caught anybody napping? Let's see who gets a better restart. Nathan's under massive pressure already from the Ferrari. As the Ferrari tucks him right behind the slipstream then to try and get him into turn number 2. This is turn 1 we just reached now, going into turn number 2. Let's see who's confident on the brakes to do so. Maybe, oh, there's an Alpine going slightly wide, he made contact with the Red Bull there. That is Leroy. Leroy has been overtaken by the second Alpine then, and both Alpines, Jasper has made up of one place. So look at Kevin HR about to go down the inside, but he loses the car on the curb, and Tico might fancy a move now on the Haas as they go side by side. Into Tosa we go then. Let's see who gets a better exit. We did see Kevin there losing the rear end. The car not really stable, it seems, just oversteering ever so slightly. Sheik has got past Vela Ralupian, so he moves himself up into P7 then. Sheik, he was P18 at one point in this race, and now he's P7. But what's happened? Julian has spun going into Acqua Minerale. Unfortunately, the Alfa Romeo there in P3 has spun, and he's dropped all the way down into last place now. I wonder what happened. Did he just get a bit too optimistic there? Did he, I don't know, maybe just went a bit wide and just lost the rear end? Jasper has overtaken Huki. Look at both Alpines inside the top 10. And despite where they started, especially Andretti down in last, I told you to keep an eye on him. He's moved up into P9 then. So this is good progress there for both Alpines. And plus, they're both on the hardcore power tyres there, so extending that stint on those set of tyres. Look at Posh Evans then, capitalising on that safety car restart. He's putting pressure then on Kieran, and he'll have him in his sights until the DRS comes out, making it easier for him to stick with him when the DRS comes out. However, Huki has got past Leroy. I think he's defending from him. Now they're going into turn number 4 we go. Looks like Leroy then switches to the left hand side, and he backs out of it, knowing he doesn't want to go up the inside of Villeneuve chicane. But really try and get him into turn number 7, because look at that, Huki's gone wide. Into the gravel he goes, and there goes Leroy up into P11 he goes. We can see Quistro versus Kevin, who's got tapped out of McLaren, and Huki's in the grass there, as XV has got past Vela Ralupian. So I think he must have front wind damage, because he's been overtaken in the same spot twice as Vela. So I wonder what happened to him, because Sheik has spun coming out of Acqua Minerale, and luckily for him, hasn't hit the wall, but he's going to drop a lot of positions now into P18 he goes. So after all that hard work, it's down the drain, unfortunately for him.
Yeah, really unfortunate. It's just such an easy place to lose it in. Acqua Minerale, there's more position changes going on. Casper overtaking Huki. I think Huki may have got a little bit of front wing damage, because he has tumbled down. He was battling Leroy just a lap ago, and now he is 5 places behind him. And Ralupian is into the pit lane. I saw him go deep in Tosa a lap, and then of course losing more places behind, so he's probably going to go for a front wing change. Huki staying out, Julian all off the back of him, Colin Mason and Nathan have swapped places. I think Nathan has spun, because he is now 2 seconds behind Colin Mason in the blink of an eye. So he has definitely made some sort of mistake. Julian staying behind Huki for the time being, so no overtake for him just yet. Jasper being very close to the back of it. The teammate as XV goes for the spin in Tosa. I don't know if someone hit him there, or if he just lost it on the brakes or on traction, but he has lost positions nevertheless, and he is now down into 17th. So after the safety car, we've seen a lot more mistakes happening than before the safety car, as Tico is off the back of Leroy. Does he go for an audacious move into Varianta Alta? He doesn't. He stays behind, and he gets a good exit, unlike Leroy, with a little bit of slide for the Red Bull, and he's now 2 tenths behind, probably wanting to make a move on the straight, as Nathan is the one bunching this pack up, with him being the leader of the train, and the train all the way down to P12, where Casper is putting massive pressure on Kevin using ERS, and I think he's gonna go for it already side to side with the Haas, and indeed he makes the move pretty easily. I think that is Julian with another spin, and it's Leo retired from the session, and Julian and Leo, they crashed into the pit lane. I think I have no clue what happened there, but Leo is out of the race. Julian, does he have wing damage? I don't think so, but the safety car is out yet again.
While the safety car was deployed, and an Alpine of Jasper went off the track, and I think Tico's move was legal, because Jasper was off the track, and when the safety car came out, he went wide at turn number 2, and Tico took massive advantage of that, so he split both Alpines, because both Alpines have been close together throughout the whole race. So yeah, that's an advantage there from Tico. So I think I've confused myself a bit, Bob Pierre, because I'm getting confused between Tico and Leo. So down at turn number 2, where one of them hit the back of Posh Evans. Which one was it? Was it Tico or Sheik? Leo?
I need to.
Yeah, I've actually got confused between both Mercedes there because I think Leo spinning out caught me off guard of which one it was. As, look at that, Kieran's then is in the pit lane, so is Posh. It makes sense why these guys go in the pit lane, the medium compound tyres then. So a lap 11, with this safety car coming out, they're in the pit lane then. They're going to go on the medium compound tyres, but the rest of them will go on the hards, so just vice versa. Whatever tyres you started on, you go on to a different tyre. As interested that Tico has stayed out there on the hard compound tyres, as you expect, as Huki gets a 5-second time penalty for speeding in the pit lane, as Casper is up into P4 then. So it's been a dramatic race so far with 2 safety cars in the space of 11 laps, and this is going to be very interesting once again then, as multiple strategies going on here. I don't think Kieran can take those tyres towards the end, can he? No, he can't for sure. 22 laps on the set.
It will be a big ask, but apparently Kieran, Kenny, Andretti, and maybe even Ralupion, they are going to try it. So I think Casper, he's also mediums, 5 lap old though, so they definitely won't make it. But you know, if you really take care of them, I think those mediums can go the distance, but they will be very hard to manage towards the back end from lap 25 onwards probably, because then rear locking is going to become a massive issue for all those on the mediums. So the top 6 are probably still going to have to pit. The only ones who already made a pit stop are Casper, Cristero and Tico, but they won't have the tyres to make it to the end. I don't think 8 lap old hards, they're gonna have to go 30 laps on the same tyre, which just won't be possible, I don't think. So they're gonna have to make another stop. Kieran is gonna want to move past them as soon as possible, being on the fresh mediums. The same goes for Evans, Kenny and Colin Mason and all the guys that are behind them. So that will be very interesting to see how fast they can cut through the field.
Yeah, I'm just rewatching a bit of the race at the start of the race, just trying to figure out what happened at the start and what's gone off from then till now, because I'm quite confused between what happened to Tico and Sheik Leo. Leo started in P6, didn't he? Yeah, he did. And you said it was Leo who hit the back of Posh Evans?
I think it was Tico, because he started in P2, of course. He then made a pit stop and dropped all the way back down to basically last place.
Oh, so it was him.
I think it was, yeah.
Because I remember saying he's down in P18 because he made that pit stop to change his full wing and he hit the back. So I thought it was Leo for some reason. Then because it completely spun me out to see which one is which. It's never happened to me in commentary to forget who's who. But I don't know. Maybe it's because of Sheik, Leo, and Tico. There probably sounds a little bit the same if we say their names. But yeah, I've been trying to watch the races back and see what's happened. And it does seem that Tico did hit the back of Posh Evans, but just trying to figure out what happened to Sheik Leo then. So he did spin coming out of Aqua Minerale, did he? Leo?
Yes.
Ah, so he's the one. Yeah, he's the one that spun then coming out of Aqua Minerale. So Tico
had quite the roller coaster of a race. He started P2, fell back down to last, and now he's in P1 again.
Yeah, because I thought it was the other way round. I thought Tico spun coming out of Aqua Minerale and Sheik Leo hit the back of Posh Evans, but it's actually the other way round. So yeah, I just want to say fantastic drive so far from Tico to be up there in P1 after being him down in P18, and he's up there in P1 once again then. So the safety car is going to come in at the end of this lap, and Tico will lead them away ahead of Jasper. Both Alpines then decided not to go for a double start because it would cost them a lot of time then. So Jasper, I think, was behind Andretti. Andretti made his pit stop on the medium compound tyres. Jasper stayed out. They didn't want a double start to lose too much time then. So both Alpines split strategies, with Leroy staying out 2 and Casper on a 6-lap hold medium compound tyres there. So this could be very interesting then, because we've got a mixture of strategies going on here. Which one of them will work, I wonder? And Kieran then on a brand new setup out of all of them in P7 is going to watch out for these guys on all the sets of tyres. We've got Quistro already alongside Casper. This is going to be a drag race all the way down going into turn number 2, and I think Casper has the edge on the Ferrari driver. Further behind, we've got Kieran going side by side. This could be so close, and Kieran there made his breaking point, made the corner there. As you can see, Casper's going alongside Leroy there with the fresher tyres on the mediums against the older hards, it must be said, and Casper gets ahead. He goes a bit wide coming out of the Villeneuve chicane as we go into Tulsa right now. We're Kieran almost alongside, as you can see. Kenny versus Posh Evans. Kenny on the grass there, unfortunately for him. And he drops down into P11. We've got a few more position changes. We've got Kieran alongside the Ferrari. Kieran once again making another fantastic move there.
Massive crash at the back. I didn't see what was happening. I was on board with there was Posh Evans, but I saw in the back just an Alpine sliding off into the wall, and a Ferrari as well spinning. So they probably made contact in the walk-on towards Spiritella. Massive crash. You're just sliding off into the wall. So all the good work that Andretti did has now become undone in very quickly. And there's yet another safety car. Oh
no, not another one, please. I don't want another safety car. That's 3 in 13 laps. This race is chaotic, more than I thought it would be. I think people are desperate and optimistic, tenacious there. All these guys fighting very hard. And Tico and Jasper in the pit lane then to go on the brand new set of mediums. We've got more drivers heading off as the pit lane. We've got Leroy as well, expected to him to go in the pit lane. With Christo as well, expected to him to go in the pit lane. Casper then has stayed out. And I think Casper will be the only one in this if he's not pitted before. Yeah, he's pitted way before, so yeah, that's why he's not gone into the pit lane, because he pitted a few laps before, probably under the second safety car, and he currently leads this race then ahead of Kieran. So not much work Kieran had to do really, because he's already up into P3, and Nathan is up into P2 for Kieran. Nathan, despite making a mistake coming out the first 2 corners, I think you suspected him spinning coming out the first 2 corners, is up into P3 once again. And due to Kenny and Evans having a collision there, I think Nathan actually got past both of them while Kenny and Evans touched, and Nathan there got past both of them. I'm not quite sure how he did it or not, but anyways, it's up into P3 now, so slip it through, Nathan, despite that error coming out of turn number 1 and turn number 2. Colin R. Mason up into P5 as well. Kenny there dropping into 6th place, so we'll not be happy with that one whatsoever. He was 3rd in this race, and now he's down to 6th, unfortunately for him. Huki, despite all his troubles in this race, we did see him lose a few positions, making mistakes now and then, just sliding off the road slightly. He's up into P7 then, so quite a few position changes going on as Tico is up into P11 then on a brand new set of medium compound tyres. So let's watch out for him at the second half of the race to see how many positions he can gain up after making that mistake coming out of turn number 2, hit to the back of Josh.
Yeah, will be interesting to see so far. Leroy, he has gone onto a soft set of tyres. I think he would just use that as a filler, go onto the mediums now so he can have the freshest mediums out of them all. He probably doesn't think the mediums will last if he pits on them now, or he just selected the wrong tire. It's also a possibility. But for Kenny and Kieran, this safety car has definitely come as a blessing. I think their mediums will be safe and sound towards the end of the race now. They can definitely extend that gap. And the Leroy, he has pulled into the pit yet again. He will drop down to last, but he wasn't that far off the field anyway before he went into the pit lane, so he doesn't change that much, and indeed he goes onto the medium, so he will have the freshest tire of them all, and he will want to cut his way through the field. Gasper is probably the only one on this whole field who still needs to make another pit stop, because 9-lap-old mediums right now, he still needs to go another 17 laps. Well, probably 1 or 2 being behind the safety car if we're lucky and don't get another one, but he will definitely have to pit still. So it's Kieran in an effective P1, Nathan P2, Evans P3, and then Colin Mason just outside the podium places as it stands right now. But Kenny will want to make those places back that he lost by going onto the grass, and he probably has the facilities for that as well, being on the fresh mediums.
It was the merest of touches between Kenny and Posh Evans. Now looking back at it, it looks like Josh barely touched him, but it was enough for Kenny's car to just oversteer into grass, and unfortunately for Kenny, just dropped 2 places into P6. He went side by side. While that was happening, we saw Kieran get past the let's have a look. I'm on board with these guys now. We got past the Ferrari Quistro, who's found himself down into P14 then, unfortunately for him. The safety cars at the end of this lap. There were so many battles going on throughout the whole field, because we didn't even have a full racing lap when the second safety car came in, so not even one full racing lap and a safety car got deployed once again then. So that's how easy it is for a safety car to be brought out. And as I mentioned, Nathan actually did get past both of them when they both made contact, because Nathan had a much better exit than Posh Evans, got past him alongside him, and I presume he got it done going into turn number 9 then, which is Piratella, and that's why he's up into P3 ahead of both Posh Evans and Kenny. And Colin Mason also gained from that too, up into P5 ahead of Kenny. But Kenny on those beating compound tyres, he's got the facilities like you said, and we're going racing once again then with lap 16 out of 32. We're halfway there. Hopefully no more safety cars do make an appearance out of the circuit, and let's see that anybody poised to make a lunge into turn 1, anybody close enough it seems going into turn 1. I don't think so, except Tico, a man you expect to make overtakes, and that was on XVBray, who made it rather easy, because when I went to board with him, it looked like he was further back than he was well, going into turn number 2. I think he backed out of it, knowing that Tico was on the fresher tyres and therefore didn't want to battle him too hard. So Tico there, up into P10 he goes. Got Julian right behind Huki. Then Julian, he spun, but Casper's been overtaken by Kieran. They're going side by side now. Going into Piratella we go, and Kieran takes the lead of this race. Now this is crucial for the likes of Nathan and Posh Evans. Posh Evans is going side by side, going into Aquamilla. That was so close. Nathan there has the racing line and stays over to P3. Posh Evans was racing Kieran before the second safety car appeared in this race, so that's why he wants to get past Nathan and Casper as quickly as he can, because Casper's on all the tyres. He won't be able to stick with Kieran, whereas Nathan and Posh Evans there being stuck behind Casper will allow Kieran to pull his gap like he had before the first safety car came out. So it's pivotal for those guys to get past him as quickly as he can, so he can still keep up with him. And when the DRS comes out, oh, but there's contact with Jasper, sending the Haas in a spin. More contact's been made with another Haas losing his front wing there. So both Hasses unfortunately did not make it out of that one as damage free. But Nathan versus Josh once again, and who's that? That's Casper. Don't tell me that's another safety car appearing. And Nathan there up into P2 ahead of Josh. I think Casper let them both go because Casper knows his teammates in a fresher set of tyres and therefore allowed him to just pull away, because Nathan inevitably was going to overtake Casper anyway with the freshness of the tyres, so therefore his teammate was behind. There's no point holding his teammate up and just let him go. And Tico's up into P8.
Yeah, definitely. Tico and Julian both getting past Hukes. Tico now fancies a move into Piratella, but contact has been made. I'm not sure what's going on then. Tico sends Julian into a spin, and Julian retiring from the race, and that's yet another safety car.
Give me a break, come on. No, I don't want another safety car. We've not even had like 2 laps of racing action. Another safety car's appeared. That's 4 safety cars in 17 laps. Come on guys, come on. You're supposed to be professionals here.
Yeah, it's not been the most clean race. It gives Casper an opportunity to go into the pit and change tyres yet again. Maybe some other drivers will decide to take a risk as well. Maybe Chris Rowe, he of course has nothing to lose. Kieran actually pulls into the pit lane, which is surprising Kenny as well. So maybe the medium runners just don't think their tyres will last. But Kieran, Casper and Kenny now will have to do a lot of overtaking yet again. Kieran onto the mediums. Kenny, I assume, is going to go into the mediums as well, and indeed he is. Leroy staying out, so he's going to get a lot of positions. Casper staying ahead of Kenny in the pit lane. Sabi staying out, but he's ghosted, so it won't be that much of a problem for the drivers just pitted, even though he will have a gap to the guys in front. And Leroy out of nowhere, Jasper out of nowhere, are currently in P5, P6, and probably don't have to pit again.
Yeah, this could be a very interesting race from now on. Then we've got different changes in positions once again then. So Nathan currently will lead this race, but he knows the likes of Kieran will be in his tails very soon, because Kieran's got a lot of work to do then. And Tico has gained from that too. He's up into P4 then. So Tico, another driver to watch out for. This could be very interesting to see who wins this Grand Prix. Jasper, despite starting P14, he's up to P5. He took out both Hasses, it seems, because one of them's retired. They did spin. They wanted one of the Hasses, and the other one got caught up at the incident too, so both Hasses there had a massive disadvantage, and unfortunately one of them's retired and the other one is currently in P13 then. But Kenny down in P10 got a lot of work to do. Casper benefited from that safety car, get off those older mediums and put on a brand new set of meds to go towards the end, and therefore his tyres will be much fresher than the other guys around him, or the same, and the guys ahead will be suffering then with the other medium runners right behind. But their mediums shouldn't be too bad due to the amount of safety cars we had. Surely they could go to the end, can't they?
Yeah, I think so. I don't think any racing has been done on them basically. So they'll be Well, they'll be more worn out than, of course, Kieran's and other guys that just pitted onto a new set of mediums. But the difference won't be that big as Ralupion also goes into the pit lane. Yeah, the difference won't be too big. I think the drivers are around 10% now, maybe, Leroy and Jasper. So they will definitely be slower than the guys behind, but not at such a big disadvantage that they are going to lose those places instantly, I don't think. So that's going to be a fun battle to watch once the safety cars come in. Both Ferraris on the start-finish straight still, so they need to catch up.
Four safety cars in 19 laps here. Barely had any racing, and hopefully at the end of this safety car we'll get a fifth, because that's the record of, if we do get a fifth, that's the record I've ever commentated, having the most safety cars in a single Grand Prix, which is 5. A track like this, which it is difficult, but I'm not expecting that many safety cars. We've had less safety cars at the likes of the Singapore Grand Prix and other tracks that are very difficult as well, probably Monaco as well, so I've seen less safety cars at more difficult tracks.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've seen 2 safety cars from both in Piratella, which is not a corner where you expect to crash. I think you can invalidate there, you can spin there, but going to the wall is very difficult as a safety car comes in this lap. Nathan will be leading the pack with Evans and Colin Mason behind him, so both Red Dragon Racing drivers in good positions at the moment. And it will be interesting to see where Nathan goes. Kieran, on the first safety car restart, he went very late. Then Casper went very early on the second one. So it will be interesting to see where Nathan goes. Maybe trying to catch them sleeping a little bit going into Rivazza now. He still hasn't gone under the throttle, Jamie.
Yeah, Kieran's got a lot of work to do down in P8 to get past those guys, to go back to where he was, because he'd led majority of the race, but now decided to go to the pit lane to put on a brand new set of mediums to go all the way to the end. We'll be pushing from here on in, and let's see then when Nathan goes. And he goes right now then, so this is decent safety car restart, but Joshua, his reaction seems okay, but Colin R. Mason just further back, I've got that glitch where the engine makes that horrible noise, unfortunately. But is anybody poised to make a move? It's turn 1 we go. Tico right behind Colin R. Mason, but can't quite do so. He's just a bit too far at the back, and Kieran's up into P8 with Casper P9. And Kieran's actually overtaken the Aston Martin because he's left the session, unfortunately. So the Aston Martin is not in the session. And further up, we got a few drivers very close to each other indeed. And let's see then, going into Torsa, is anybody to make them lunge? What about Casper? Obviously, because the car ahead is a ghost, so easy lunge there for Casper. Kenny moves up into P9 as well. I hate ghosted cars. Hopefully he comes back and takes his seat. But yeah, unfortunately I've got that horrible sound glitch. Hopefully that'll disappear very soon. I don't know how to get rid of it, but it will stay with me throughout the whole race. And further up we've got Posh Evans there, putting pressure on Nathan for the lead of this race. Posh Evans has been in the top end of the field majority of this race, looking to take the victory, and hopefully we'll see what he could do towards the end of it. He's putting massive pressure on Nathan now, as he was ahead of Nathan at the third safety car restart. But when he made contact with Kenny, and talk about Kenny, he's just got past Joshua's teammate into the penultimate corner, which we don't see many moves there. But Kenny then moves himself up into P8 ahead of Casper. As we move on to lap 21, let's see then if Josh will make a move on Nathan. Then heading into the second corner we go. Nathan defending the inside. Joshua goes going in the inside as well. Tico is up into P3. He goes off the track. He broke too late once again. He's on the gravel again, and unfortunately has lost 2 places, now 3, as QRT Leroy. Look at that, Kieran side by side with Leroy now. He might take 2 for 1, but Leroy breaks later, and he goes wide, and Kieran does the under and over. Lovely move there from Kieran, and Tico gains the position he lost earlier on Leroy. In fact, stays at P6 as Kieran took it away. And that was lovely racing there from Kieran, just to be patient, bide his time, and slipped underneath while Leroy went wide and wide and wide. And Kieran now up into P5, Bob Pierre.
Yeah, great manoeuvre from him. He just sniffed that Leroy was going out wide. Of course, benefiting from that mistake that Tico had as well, locking the rears, making up 2 positions in, well, basically a spot where you can't really overtake. So he has to count his blessings there. But of course, brilliantly done for him as well, as he now gets a brilliant exit out of Variante Alta on the Professional Mediums up into P4. Only the hard run is still to go, and he has made let out a little wiggle not really sure what he's signaling. Maybe that he's not happy with some of the driving, or that he's really happy with the moves that he's made so far, using his overtake button to get past Colin Mason. Is Evans going for a move? He is not. So it will be Kieran, the only one going for a move, and he has that move done fairly confident even before the braking zone of turn 2, Jamie.
Wow, he broke very late instead of I thought he would go off the track there. But look at Kenny going around the outside of Leroy. I think Leroy is putting pressure on Tico, but he outbroke himself going into turn number 2, and therefore Kenny took the position back. So Leroy's going to be very careful there. But Kieran, I never thought he'd be up into P3. What is 3 laps time when the safety car came in, or 2, and now he's right behind the top 2 then, so he puts in the top 2 under massive pressure. This strategy is working beautifully now, as he's got 2 cars ahead of him on all the tyres, which is Posh Evans and Nathan there, looking to keep behind Kieran, but I don't think that will happen there, and Kieran's strategies work beautifully. He's able to get past the older guys on all the tyres. Jasper has got past Colin R. Mason, but looks like Colin R. Mason made a mistake coming out of Aqua Minerale, and he drops down into P5s as a result of that. But going back on board, Kieran gets a much better exit coming out of the chicane already, and now he's up into P2. He goes just behind Nathan then, and Nathan, I don't think he has any way to defend this whatsoever with a faster car coming up right behind him then, as he gets DRS for good measure as a boost coming out the corners. Kenny is right behind Tico as well, so keep an eye on him as Kieran goes side by side with Nathan. Nathan tried to use his ERS, so look at that, Joshua's coming back, he takes P1, that's a double overtake on the straight. What a move there, but look at Kieran going up the inside of Nathan there, going side by side into turn number 2, and turn 3 we go. Tico versus Kenny, Nathan versus Kieran, still going side by side, coming out of turn number 3, heading into the Villeneuve chicane road. Here we go, Nathan has the inside line, goes wide, and Kieran might do the under and over like he did on Leroy if he loves to go. What lovely racing there going on. Finally we're getting some good racing, but I think Josh went a bit wide coming out of turn number 7 at Tosa, went a bit wide of the grass it looked like from my perspective or not, but yeah, Josh with the straight line speed blasted past both Kieran and Nathan. Kieran wasn't using his ERS and Nathan was, and Josh there having DRS and DRS blasted past both of them and moved up into P1. But I think that's only momentarily, as Kieran there will be back on the move once again, but Josh will have enjoyed that, getting past 2 for 1 on the straight. I think what happened to Kenny? Oh, he's down in P11. What happened to him? I'm not quite sure. Maybe he got caught up in some instance.
Tried to get past Tico, so they're not sure on the fresh tires as Leroy is doing now as well. Same, but they made a little bit of contact. Kenny went off track, and he fell down to P11 as Leroy and Tico also make a little bit of contact going through the last corner. Leroy gets very too close to go for comfort as actually as Casper gets past Kieran at the front. He is going to get past Porsche Evans. Maybe Nathan wants to do the same as Evans did a few laps ago, but it's very late move from the McLaren. Nathan has to go to the right, and he does make that move, stay further down. It is Casper getting past Tico, and Leroy being behind. Those two can't really overtake him. Jasper being in P4 as well. Maybe he wants to get a move on the McLaren and Red Bull, having those mediums are probably still better performance right now. So it's 2 laps and basically a double position loss on the straight. There we've seen Leroy getting past Hookie further down in Tosa as he continues to make his way up the grid. Jasper being very close to the back of Porsche Evans, having a lot of ERS as well compared to the McLaren driver, so he will fancy a move fairly soon. I'm sure of that. Nathan needs to get in to the DRS of Kieran, which he just fell out of. So he's going to be very vulnerable on the straight as well, not having a lot of ERS. Jasper definitely having the benefit of the battery going into the straight, as no one going side to side really into reverse. We've seen a couple of times already in this race, but Nathan has put out a healthy gap over the McLaren in P3, 8/10 coming onto the straight, and I think Jasper is the one definitely wanting to make a move into P3. Kieran setting the fastest lap time, and Jasper is definitely going for it on Josh Evans. He's gaining, puts out the ERS and puts it back on. Is he going to go for the move? He is not. Joshua bringing very late, defending the move perfectly as he of course can. Swapping places are the Casper and Colin Mason. Jasper making a move now maybe into Villeneuve. He is not trying maybe to get a better exit into Tosa, but does not have the traction to go down the inside there, and he stays in P4 for the moment. All this battling really allows Casper to get back up there. He's now only 4 tenths behind.
Incredible racing going on at the top of the field there. Lovely to see, as you expect. Kieran on a brand new set of medium compound tyres is pulling away from Nathan then. So Nathan will have to look behind now. There's no point. Oh, Josh has made a mistake with Akram Raleigh, and now he allows Jasper to move up into P3. There's his teammate Casper. He let Casper let him go a few laps ago. Now will Josh do the same then? Hopefully pay his teammate his favours, because he did it a few laps ago when he put pressure on Nathan, and now Casper's right behind. Vice versa as it was a few laps ago, and hopefully Josh will let his teammate go to put pressure on Jasper for P3. Bearing in mind Jasper has got a 3-second time penalty as Casper's fully focused on Colin R. Mason. Bearing in mind Colin R. Mason, I don't think he'll be a threat too much because on the hard compound tyres, whereas Casper and Josh on Josh on all the hard compound tyres. Anyways, Kenny is up into P10, and here comes Posh Evans side by side now with Jasper. Let's see how this battle unfolds on board with Casper's point of view. Josh might get a bit of a shove there towards the Alpine, and Casper's involved too. He's got past the Alpine, but McLaren's made contact, and that's, oh no, you don't want to see that whatsoever. Casper unfortunately hits the back of Josh. I thought Josh would let Casper go, but unfortunately Jasper is all over the back of Posh Evans now, and Jasper with the medium compound tyres, maybe they're not drifting away too much, those BDs, because we've had 2-3 safety cars, so they should be that old. Should have been in compound tyres.
Behind, out of Piratella, sort of instruction. Tico was going for a move on Colin Mason, but it was just not close enough. And Colin Mason, he didn't really see the Mercedes coming, and that is Tico out of this race, crashing just just past Piratella, making contact. Tico on the rear tyre of Colin Mason. I think the Williams, he definitely lost his wing as well, so two massive stays of a few corners, and there's one more as Jasper hits the back of Posh Evans. Kenny goes into a spin as well. There was a concertina effect into the last corner. Kenny just slowing down too much for a Lupion to react in time to, and now Fibre is fancying a move on that Ferrari. All this battling and crashing as well as that Nathan to really have a gap on P3, so he is loving life at the moment. Leroy as well making his way from nowhere suddenly into P4. Hookie with a relatively silent race as well into P5 all of a sudden, and the gaps have begun to form a little bit. Fibre all over the back of Verlupian. I think the Ferrari may have a little bit of wing damage. Indeed he does. The front left end plate is missing, and that allows the Haas to go past on the exit of Toza, but he isn't giving up. It's Verlupian making a little bit of wheel banging on the run up to Piratella, but backing out of it is the Ferrari, and that's probably the best move to go by. Hookie is the one now wanting to make a move on Leroy.
Yeah, Leroy desperately needs to get himself in that DRS range to protect himself against Hookie. Then Hookie on 3 laps, 4 laps, fresher tyres than Jasper and Leroy. So that's crucial for Leroy to stick with that DRS range to defend from Hookie. Hookie will be hoping that Leroy can't get the DRS range of Jasper. Bearing in mind though, Jasper has got a 3-second time penalty then. So the podium is on between Leroy and Hookie. Which one of them will get it? And QRT Leroy then finds himself in the DRS range. And like you said, coming out of nowhere in this race to be up into P4. The man started in P17, having a dismal qualifying. He didn't get to the checker flag in time, as Posh Evans has overtook Valupian as he heads off his pit lane to put on a brand new nose, unfortunately for him, on the soft compound tyres, so hoping to get that fastest lap of this Grand Prix with 4 laps to go. This race has flown by despite 4 safety cars in this race. I thought that'd be 5 after more crashes going on in the midfield there. We've got 13 left in this race, and I thought more of them would be gone by now due to the amount of crashes and incidents we've had, but we've still got 13 left to go. 13 drivers left in this race, and QRTD though they're just hovering out of that 1 second range of DRS there, so he's pushing ever so hard to try and get himself in that DRS. Bearing in mind though, the driver behind Hookie, driver behind Leroy Hookie has got a penalty himself then, so Leroy won't have much pressure on him, but he'd definitely love to get P3 on the track or get P4 on the track, and you've got to make sure he can't make small mistakes like that. It was a small mistake, but could cost hugely in this race, and Leroy then just about in that 1 second range of DRS, just dropping out of it, and that'll be a Hookie interested if he could get himself past Leroy up into Jasper. But like you said, Nathan up into P2 now, having a quiet race after being involved in a few carnage himself, a bit of carnage himself. now finally finds himself in the quiet phase, and he'll be loving life in P2. I was about to mention Joshua's pace as well, because if you know Posh Evans previously, you know he struggled in the 2022 game. You know he's been down there in the back end of the field and just spinning and struggling, but it was nice to see him up there for a change at the top of the field, fights his way through for P1 and P2, but unfortunately he's still in a good position in P7, but yeah, that contact was made in the penultimate corner and it caused chaos once again. But Jasper there defending against Leroy, but nothing he could do about that with that 3-second time penalty hovering over his name. You'd be hoping QRT Leroy to get a penalty as well, especially a track like this where it's so easy to get penalties. Jasper's made a mistake coming up out of Aqua Minerale. That'll influence Leroy even more, and Leroy's going to be very careful himself not to pick up a 3-second time penalty, otherwise to be on a level playing field, and therefore they can fight cleanly to get P3 on track.
Yeah, but I think Leroy now with that slight ERS advantage, it's not major at all, but he definitely has around 10% more than the Alpine ahead of him. If you can just stay in that DRS range, not get a penalty as you said, it will be plain sailing for the Red Bull, and he will get that last podium place. The other battle going on is further down than this Kenny v Josh Evans. Kenny on a lot fresher tyres than the McLaren, and I think he is fancying a move into turn 2 here. He gains a lot on the McLaren. Does he make a mistake even before the braking zone? No, Josh Evans is still there, braking very late, very close between the tyres, but great racing between the two, leaving just the right amount of space. And Kenny making the move stick around the outside of the McLaren. Now he needs to be aware, of course, that Evans doesn't bounce back on him, having that advantage of the slipstream. Behind, Leroy is struggling a little bit to stay within the DRS of Jasper, being on 9/10 now. He needs to get a good Aqua Minerale and Variante Alta, otherwise he will not have that DRS anymore. But all he has to do is just not lose 2 seconds to the Alpine. In the last couple of laps there's a Ferrari of Cristro who has spun coming out of the Villeneuve chicane. I'm just going to assume that he touched the gravel, went wide on the second part of that chicane, and he lost the car. I think Leroy is just about outside that DRS range. Maybe 17 thousandths was the difference that he needed to have that DRS. And coming around the last corner, he indeed does not have that juicy DRS button, and his rearing will stay shut. The same won't go for Posh Evans, as he does have the DRS on Kenny, but probably doesn't have the straight line speed to go for a move into turn 2. Further down the field, Colin Mason making up some places up into P9, but 20 seconds behind his teammate in P8. He probably won't make any more positions. He does have the fastest lap though, so that's some of the bragging rights going to him there, as Kieran has almost put out a 10-second gap on Nathan already.
Yeah, that decision to go in the pit lane at the fourth safety car, I think it was third or fourth, I can't quite remember now. That decision to go on this medium compound tyres when the safety car came out paid dividends for him in his race, as he's able to take on the guys and all the tyres and take P1 away. Clean fights, Kieran, throughout the whole race. Every time he's been involved in a battle has been very clean, it must be said. Choosing his moments at the right time, picking his fights at the right time as well, and making those overtakes when he needed to as well. And that's what I've got on P1 today. Absolutely amazing drive from Kieran so far. Never looked back, well, unless he went to the pit lane. He had to put on a fight, but made it look very easy to Kieran, and he deserves the race win once it comes round, because on the last lap of this Grand Prix then, so this race has been very chaotic, loads of change positions there, and not many drivers you expect to be on the podium right now, such as Jasper and Leroy, and Hooky. I did see him struggle early parts of the race as well. He was standing all over the place, but he fixed that, and he's currently finds himself in P5, scoring that good position as well. And Kenny and Posh Evans are back together then again, like they were when they were fighting for P2 and P3, but instead it's P7 and P8 after they made contact coming out. I think that's what ruined Kenny's race really, with that contact at Tulsa before the third safety car came out. It just ruined his confidence and momentum, dropped him a few positions behind, and he's obviously flustered and frustrated with that incident. And ever since safety car went in and been involved in more incidents as well, so hopefully that will happen again for Kenny, as he had good pace around here, but couldn't quite show it after all those troubles he's had in this race. But all eyes on Kieran, all the attention as he drifts around the final corner. He will win the Imola Grand Prix then to finish the social race in P1. What a fantastic drive from Kieran, then fully deserved. A fantastic race from him. Beautifully displayed with the strategy as well, choosing the right moments at the right time when overtaking. And Nathan finishes in P2. What a fantastic drive from him in P2. Jasper will not get P3. In fact, he pulled a 2.6 second gap on Leroy in that final lap. So Jasper was obviously pushing, but unfortunately for him it wasn't enough. I was 4 tenths away. Hooky P5, XV P6. Kenny defends from Josh. Does he? Yes, he does. He's right behind him. Colin R. Mason will get P9 ahead of Valupian in P10. Which one of those two got the fastest lap in the end? It was... let me go. Let's have a look before... Yeah, it was Colin R. Mason then. So that's the social race ended. Finally ended after 4 safety cars made an appearance on the track. But the battles we had at the front were fantastic. Nice to see them. And who should drive of the day then, Pompey? It's going to be a very difficult one to choose.
Yeah, it's very difficult, but if you... well, I saw someone say Kieran doing Kieran things. Let's just put it that way, and yeah, you can't really disagree. Having that drive being P8, I think it was, and on the last safety car, and then still pulling out an 11-second gap. Yes, of course he has fresher tires, but such a drive definitely deserves a driver of today, even if he didn't really gain any positions. You can't really do much better than that.
Yeah, I think it has to go to Kieran then. And IRT Nathan, both Red Bulls on the podium there. So Nathan from P9 and Leroy, an unexpected podium must be said. Remember that qualifying session he had, that dismal qualifying session? He didn't get a lap in at the end of the qualifying because he was too far behind and couldn't make the line in time. Started P17, finishes at P3. Jasper, I told you to keep an eye on both Alpines. Unfortunately, one of us retired. Jasper finished in P4 there ahead of Hookie in P6, XV in P6 there after making contact at the penultimate corner, which both of them, one of them retired and the other one lost his wing. And Kenny in P7, unfortunately for him, from starting in P4, Josh in P8, Colin R. Mason P9. A lot of things happened in this race. I dare say that a few drivers should have been in different positions after what happened, but unfortunately that's racing sometimes, and that's the way things go around here. You've got to be in it to win it. Both Mercedes had good pace, but unfortunately retired after all their problems, especially with Leo spinning out at Acqua Minerale and Sheik hitting the back of Posh Evans in lap 2, I think it was.
Yeah, even made some contact indeed, but yeah, it was overall there was some very impressive part in that race which were very enjoyable to watch, such as Kieran cutting through the field. I think that was definitely a highlight, and some other battles as well, which I can't just recall from the top of my head now as well. Yeah, great racing from all the teams involved.
Yes, definitely one to remember. And both if it was a constructors race there, both Red Bulls will be very happy with both their cars on the podium there, and AlphaTauri as well. 1, 2, 3 for the Red Bull back team, junior team for the AlphaTauri fit at their home Grand Prix as well here in Imola for AlphaTauri. But yeah, that's the race done and dusted. Plenty of things have happened in this race, plenty to digest and take what's happened in this race as well. Too much as well to remember. I've got to go back and to watch through it all. How QRT Leroy managed to come through the field and finish in P3 just intrigues me, because I don't know, he just came out of nowhere. No, I'm not taking the mick. I'm just saying he just came out of nowhere in this race and finished in P3. Right.
Yeah, you're definitely correct. He just a little bit of dark horse, starting at the back of the field, just not getting involved in any incidents basically, and then being at the right place at the right time.
Thank you for joining me, Pompey. This has been a fantastic race to commentate. We should have ended this about 20 minutes ago due to all those safety cars.
Yeah, it's been a long race,
especially here at a track like Imola. But yeah, that's it for us then. We're done and dusted for the Imola social race, and we're back for you next race. Join us back for next Wednesday at 8 PM again, and we'll see you all for the next race. Thank you, Pompey, once again.